Malouse, we're back!
Apologies for the wait, demoiselle. And you said before that you still had some business at the court. What?
About that. It's because my partner here reminded me of... You still remember, right, Malouse?
Yes, the case was quite similar to that of Mr. Linney's. Both were what...
Could you tell us a bit more about what...
Yeah, of course. Many years ago, at a glance, it was a kind of drink that could...
Wait! Didn't that guard guy who turned into water
Yes, he did. Considering what we know now, if you drink synth for an extended amount of time, you'll suffer many side effects. And if you were to stop drinking it completely, you'll experience... As he oversaw Poisson, my father was
Boss's uncompromising attitude incurred the synth vendor's wrath. But not only that, Boss became determined to...
Yes, but the enemy was very cunning. So he could never get at recognizing that. My father decided to contact the dealers in secret and cultivate... The man's name was Jacques. He felt greatly ashamed about his work after seeing many families destroyed. That night, my father hosted a banquet at his countryside estate, but then we heard 2 gunshots from the courtyard.
Huh? How did that happen?
Sounds just like Lenny's case, doesn't it? In both looking back on it, though, I now believe the most important clue was something we all overlooked at the time.
Precisely. It's all thanks to you that I made the connection now.
But, considering it now, it's almost certain that they belong to a third person at the scene. You're right. We still don't know what happened.
Jacques was an empathetic man who was infinitely remote. I think this third person... On that note, however, even our opponent is insidious and cruel. Even though Spina de Rosula has lost most of its former glory, Poisson, there is no need to follow your father's path.
If that's indeed what he wished for, was I not the closest person to him? And yet, I was the one. What was the point of him dying without sharing any of the secrets he knew? Did he... Synth is still here. Callus the Unfaithful is still his... Did he think I'd just accept his meaningless death? I've never accepted that. I want to find out the real
Navia.
This is indeed the best moment to act. Your partner appeared...
So you do know something else, Malouse?
Yes, I do. In fact, But what drove all the tensions to the boiling point was the revelation that you, demoiselle, had been selected as the next target to disappear.
What?
Boss also didn't tell you that and the serial disappearances case caused 5 years was nowhere near enough time to resolve that. Knowing all of this, he decided to use one final intimidation tactic before his death. But as long as you remain safe, if something were to happen to you, then he and all those he told would immediately expose...
Right, so nobody...
As we've seen, Boss's tactic has worked. Even though Boss has been gone for a long time.
No, I don't believe it. He never appeared...
No father wants their daughter to see them weak and haggard, especially someone as proud as Boss. To him, dying in a duel and suffering lasting dishonor as the unfaithful...
So he chose to die?
I'm afraid you're not understanding this correctly, demoiselle. If Boss's spirit could hear you telling me, I'm sure he'd be
That fool... No. He might have set up everything precisely because... Is that the amount of confidence he had in me? And what if I was never able to make it to where I am now? Yeah. I suppose that's true. But thankfully, he rarely talked to me about complex matters, and thus understood little of me as a person. In this case... Malouse, what was the key evidence that he shared with you?
It's the location where synth is produced. When he was threatening the enemy, Boss didn't share the specific... But if you want to use it against the enemy...
Why? If we know where the place is, can't we just...
You mustn't forget that we're fighting against a mysterious and... There's no telling what might be lying in wait at their headquarters. But a single visit to their headquarters... The worst case would be that we leave...
Then, in that case...
Well, you saw one of them dissolve during Mr. Linney's case. We have no idea...
That's true, but things are different now. It should be a lot...
You sound like you've put a lot of thought and...
I am the butler, after all. I've always been willing to take on any kind of risk for your sake. But
Thank you for all of that, Malus.
let me think. One conclusion I came to when I announced orders to the organization's members on Demoiselle's behalf, I used to deliberately keep a few people. If the vendors didn't change their plans, then the individuals informed of our orders must be innocent. After several rounds of testing and investigative trace, the first is Florent, Spina de Rosula's senior advisor.
Huh? Florent?
Yes, surprising, isn't it? He was one of the people Boss trusted the most. Thanks to his position within Boss's innermost circle, there's someone else like him too. Marcel, the head of Confrérie of Cabrières.
Uncle Marcel.
It's a guild in Poisson. The Boss helped it to grow to its current size and in the beginning, they were only reselling some daily goods, but now they're...
So, they're like a sister?
Yes, you can say that. When we were... It's a bit difficult.
The final suspect is Thierry, the man responsible for coordinating information between Spina de Rosula and the guards. Although the guards mostly leave us to our own devices, there are still many activities. Since Thierry is always in the know about our current activities,
I see. To think that the enemy we've been fighting...
If you want to investigate them, please take every...
Of course.
You're too kind, And before I forget, proving Boss's innocence would... After that incident, Jacques' wife and daughter were taken into the Spina's care. If it might help, you could...
Aw, thank you so much!
A new case awaits, my dear partner. I hope we can work together to uncover...
Here we go again, trying to crack an impossible case. All proof and no motive. Who would have imagined that people could really turn...
It is settled, then. Please
Thank you for arranging everything for us, Malus.
Excuse me, miss.
Oh,
Hey, Navia's all quiet. This isn't like her...
I'm sorry that I only came to visit.
Ah, if it's about that, there's no need to apologize.
But aren't all of those things nothing compared to the loss of Jacques? I can understand.
You don't understand it.
I didn't know how to face you. I know only the full truth.
I'm sorry. I appreciate the sentiment. On the matter regarding my husband,
Would you mind sharing it with me?
I always knew that my husband's money was earned through others' suffering. He told me countless times that if he could turn back, he had many regrets, and felt that he took the idea of providing for his... So when Mr. Callis came to him with he tried to be as careful as he could.
They found out.
Papa didn't say that exactly, but Papa did tell me.
Before he left that day, he told me that he had no choice. It was only later that I realized it was his final... I don't know that for sure, but... Which is why I'm the one who should feel guilty. Callis had always taken great care of us, both, even if he fired the shot that killed my husband.
But Mama, why is Papa? Papa always wanted to be a good man.
Well, things aren't always as they seem.
Yeah.
Then you should hold on to that. Regardless of whether he left you a parasol or...
Oh.
Thank you for everything you've told me.
Thank you. Even though your personality is quite different from your father's, your determination when you speak is really similar.
You really think so? That's the...
Are you okay, Navia?
I'm fine. Don't worry. Let's investigate the 3 suspects next. Florence should be nearby, and we should be able to find Thierry and Uncle Marcel in the city. I'll get myself together on the way, so please don't worry.
Greetings, boss. How may I be of assistance today?
I'm sure you've heard about what happened at the Opera House?
Yeah, I've heard. With something that dramatic?
It also reminded me, on the day that the incident happened, after my partner here put the dots together for me, can you do me a favor and try to
Let me think. After that, he told us that he wanted to go get some fresh air. So we let him go. My first reaction was that Mr. Callus's life was in danger, but when I got there, it was already too late. Mr. Callus...
So you also remember two
Indeed. The guards said that the first shot didn't hit anyone. Reason being, Mr. Callus had left his gun on the table. But according to the guards, that doesn't mean he couldn't have... About the clothes left at the scene that you mentioned. Do you think there was a third person?
At least from our perspective, my father had no reason to kill. So he would also have no reason to bring an extra... The gun he was holding probably belonged to Jacques. Or a third person on...
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So you're saying Mr. Callus ended up with the gun because he seized it from what... But hold on. If that's what it... He didn't even want to face the Oratrice machine. And chose instead to prove his honor in a duel. Did he lose all faith in the courts after seeing someone dissolve right in front of his eyes?
About that, Malouse told me a thing or two. I'll tell you everything.
I understand. And if I may just say one more thing. Many people have laughed at me for still calling him Mr. Callus. But it was Mr. Callus's trust that allowed me to... No matter what others might say.
Don't worry. You and all our other comrades at the Spina... Hey, Thierry, it's me.
Oh, now.
Oh, so you...
Oh, okay. Hey, I'm also a member of the...
Are you sure there isn't a little bit of truth in that?
I mean, where I work is really up to me. Callus did a fantastic job running the town. Buildings, it would be next to impossible for me to... Anyway, enough chit-chat.
Ah, yes. These two. What happened at the Opera House made us realize that Linny's case and my father's...
Ah, I get it. You think there might be more to the case now that... If you want to go through the original files from your...
That'd be much appreciated. Thank you. Actually, I have enough...
Of course. Without them, I couldn't possibly handle Poisson on my own. Why do you ask? We definitely...
Well, you see, just recently, we were attacked by a horde of unnumbered... So... if you hypothetically want...
Then you think... If I had to make an analogy, when you order a dish, the chef will make it for you. You can ask. If you try to make unreasonable demands, the chef would just... Removing a serial number is also not as easy as you might think. So I can promise you, those mecha were definitely... They're certainly not cheap. So, whoever their owner is must be super rich.
Oh, then you're officially in the clear, Thierry.
Jokes aside, I'd like to wish you all the best with your investigation. I'll be staying in the city for a little while, so...
Hello. How may I help you?
I'm here to see Marcel. Could you please let him know?
Sure. I will let him know.
Ah, Navia, hello. Sorry to keep you waiting. I'm not as...
Oh, it's all right. I just wanted to talk to you briefly about what happened.
Yes, I've...
Oh,
That's right. I went there with Navia to see the magic I also witnessed your marvelous... To beat the Hydro Archon at her own game on her own turf. I can already imagine everyone...
oh, Paimon doesn't...
Apologies. It's just how Fontaine is as a nation.
Uncle Marcel, you've also noticed...
Yes, I was reminded of your...
Exactly. I still don't...
Oh, and...
We were attacked on Arrhenius by some unnumbered Gardamex. And there was also an attempt to get me to drink, if not for the vigilance of my part.
Oh, you're giving us...
Alas, it seems things are heating up again. But rest assured, Navia, Poisson, if anyone dares to lay their hands on you there, the Confrérie of Cabrières...
Thank you, Uncle Marcel. But do you have any new thoughts on my father's case?
About that. So, the Confrérie was responsible for that banquet, so I was out and about. Then I heard the sound of a gunshot, and the...
Oh, it's okay. No need to push yourself.
Sounds good. Just let all my wealth comes from Callus's patronage and support.
We've talked to all three suspects.
None of them sounded particularly suspicious.
I suppose that's to be expected, though. Anyway, even though we didn't...
But where should we start? Ah, you're right! Flora mentioned that Callus...
According to Jacques' family members, he already told them that he had been... If I had to guess, he probably received an order from the synth boss to...
So, Jacques fired the first shot?
Oh? And why is that?
Ooh, that's a good point. Jacques probably already knew.
Huh. So, what would make more sense from his perspective would be to turn his... Makes sense. But besides Jacques, the attack from the Gardamex has been bothering me quite a bit as... It's obvious that our enemy has become more antsy after the sea...
Do you think he knew, even then, that we'd follow the...
Given everything that's happened since, but who among the three suspects would have the ability to control privately owned Gardamex? Thierry, you say? Huh. But I didn't feel like he was lying when he was talking to...
Yeah. Had he actually tampered with them? If the mecha were taken from the guards, it should be pretty easy to find out where...
Florent? It is true, but as Spina di Rosula's advisor, his work mostly deals with personnel and
So you're saying he's too broke to...
Exactly. He can't. And even if he could, I don't think he would be... Uncle Marcel? And with funds from the Confrérie, it's still really hard for me to imagine, though. Also, wouldn't this mean he has been spending a whole lot of Mora... Who could it be? You know, if you think everything through...
Could we be missing other suspects? Malus didn't know about the people turning...
Malus has always been very reliable, and the suspect is knowledgeable about the Spina's internal affairs. has the means to dispatch. Even if I don't want to believe it, I'm starting to see how things could.
Well, we still have another trump card on top of all the theorizing and speculating.
Yes. Malus did say that charging straight in there, we need far more solid proof before.
Navia, here you are. Oh, I've been looking for you.
Huh? Aren't you the guy?
Yeah. News came from Irenaeus just after you left.
Wasn't that place built specifically for?
I know. But they said the person they're putting on trial is a Fatui harbinger called Tartaglia.
What? Is that someone you know?
Yeah, we know him. Maybe even a little too well.
Well, he's been accused of being the true culprit behind the serial disappearances case. It's absurd, don't you think?
Wait, how? None of our investigation.
That's what I thought was strange about it. So if the charge against him stands, then it'll be...
Right. Because they'll think...
Yeah. And it'll be a lot harder.
I understand. Huh? Split up? What do you mean? Just since this is a trial about the serial disappearances case, you're right. This is our best opportunity. I won't have any chance of making that charge stick, though, unless we find more evidence. It'll be up to you to...
We'll help you, just like you helped us.
Demoiselle, please allow us to accompany you.
I'm ready.
Ah, Malus, Silver. When did you...
We heard that you'll be leaving Poisson. It's our hope that you're...
Thank you so much.
See you then! Now that Navia has set out for Irenaeus, we should also get going. The location has already been marked on the map, so let's head over.